Normally when you batch within Process Simulator, you're batching within the same entity. But here in our example model, you can see that we want to batch with 3 different entity types. We want to batch exactly 7 of each entity into a bigger batch of 21 and then send that batch throughout the model. Now, there's different arrivals for each of these entities, and so they're going to arrive differently into our activity where we batch. So how can we control the flow to make sure only 7 of each of these and exactly 7 get into our activity? Well, we do that with some logic in our routes, as well as some variables which we have predefined. This model, as usual, can be found on the Solutions Cafe, but we have on our layout we have vCount 1, 2, and 3, which are each variables, and we're going to use each of those with each of our 3 different entity types. So if we go into our properties of our route leading out of the activity when it arrives, we can see that we have some logic. Now the logic we're going to use is wait until our vCount 1 is less than 7, and then we're going to increment vCount 1. It's the same for activity 2 and activity 3, except it's vCount 2 and then vCount 3 respectively. Now what this says is if vCount 1 is less than 7, it's going to allow an entity to flow through the route to the activity where it gets batched. If 7 have gone through, then vCount 1 equals 7, and 7 is not less than 7. Now, it's not less than or equal to 7 because that would allow 8 to flow through the route, and we only want 7 because it flows through and then it increments the variable. So it's the same on the other routes in the model. We can see on this one, again, it's vCount 2 less than 7 and then increment vCount 2. So that's assuming we want 7 in our batch. Now you can mix it up so you can have 10 of one, 3 of another, 100 of another. You would simply change this number here, the 7. You would change it to be the number that you wanted of that entity type. So that way you can have more than 3 entities, and you can have varying numbers of each entity. They don't all have to be the exact same number. So once we have that set up, we get batched in our activity. We can see that we have a batch size of 21, and then send them all along their way. Now, importantly, here in this route, leaving the activity where we have our batching taking place, we reset all of the variables. So it resets it back to 0, and then a display statement that tells us that a batch was created. So once that's reset, our model will again allow the flow of entities into our batching statement, and it will again create a batch and then go throughout the model. If we run the model, we will be able to see, if we slow it down, the flow of entities, and in real time our vCounts, our variables are getting incremented, and once they get to 7, they're going to stop. So vCount 1, that's the 7th one, it's flowing through. It's not going to allow any more until they all hit 7 and they get batched. A batch was created, and then within the route, this entity is resetting all of the variables, and again we see 7 more are allowed to flow into our batching activity.